reality and prospects. This is the theme of an interesting talk given recently. To have a brief outline of the main idea of this talk, Hamid Benchekroun contacted English language inspector Mohammed Hassim, who authored and presented it at the conference.
The aim of the paper is to present the reality of English language teaching in Morocco throughout a short historical background about how English has developed in Morocco to become one of the important foreign languages in Morocco. My talk was not a political one because any decision about languages is a political decision. My talk was a pedagogical talk and presents ideas related to the teaching and learning, teachers, methods, approaches, teaching materials, and so on. The second point is the teaching of English is not different from the teaching of any other subject. And any problem that other subjects suffer from can be applied or can apply to the teaching of English in Morocco.
In your presentation, how do you assess the current situation of English teaching in the Moroccan educational system?
English in Morocco is in fact in a good position, and we have accumulated certain good practices, and the variety of materials nowadays is in the benefit of teaching English. There are multiple textbooks, and teachers can resort to any of them and use them. Also, there are some NGOs, like the Moroccan Association of Teachers of English and the Moroccan Network of Resource Centers of English. So there are a lot of associations that work hard and are active in the Moroccan reality in relation to the teaching of English. An article written in English by Dr. Mohammed Hassim, where he gave a historical account of the English language teaching for the last 30 years, and I insist on his final conclusions. English has gained a special place in Moroccan reality, and people who think about it in a very specific way. They all think that English is the language of economy, technology, international communication, science, and so on. People who speak English have more opportunities to get involved in international relations with Americans, Asians, and Commonwealth countries. When you have English as a language that you master, you can get involved in international partnerships, whether it is related to language or education or any other field.
What position does English teaching take in the current educational reform strategy?
English is the second foreign language, not the first, because French takes the first place because of the historical background and political and economic relations to France. We cannot change this reality if the politicians and decision makers do not change their mind. Our role is just to improve the teaching of English in Morocco, but we cannot change the position of English in the Moroccan educational system or the Moroccan Moroccan reality in general.
According to you, what are the main problems of English teaching in Morocco?
English language teaching in Morocco is torn between the reform, the official guidelines, and reality. In official documents, English is a second language, and it's an obligatory language, but it's a second foreign language among other languages like German, Spanish, and Italian. English takes theoretically it takes 75% of the students that learn this language. But in reality, the percentage is even more because students are eager to learn the language and they insist that they learn English rather than other foreign languages. In the what we call ميثاق الوطني للتربية والتكوين, there are certain ideas that are included there, but unfortunately they are not part of reality now. For example, in MITAP, there is a mention that English should be introduced from year 5 and 6 in primary school. But what we have in reality is that it's introduced only in year 9. This is just one example. Concerning the problems that we suffer from teaching English in Morocco, the first is the problem problem of content. The textbooks and the curriculum is full of too many things to teach, and students and teachers cannot cope with this huge amount of materials that are introduced in our curriculum. What happens is that we do not teach English as it should be, but we are more concerned with the content and finishing the syllabus in time and so on. There are certain decisions that were taken at the level of the ministry which were not accompanied by some pedagogical educational decisions. For example, when the textbook or the syllabus was designed, it was planned to be taught in 5 hours a week. But later, when there is a problem of human resources in French, the first year, the number of hours in French was reduced from 5 to 4. And the following year, they applied the same thing on other foreign languages. So now we teach a syllabus that should be taught in 5 years. We teach it in 3 or 4 or 5 years, depending on the streams. So there are at least 1/3 or 1/4 of the amount of time which is reduced, without reducing the amount of material we have in the curriculum. And this has a very negative impact on the teaching of English in Morocco, though English has been in the lead concerning approaches and methods. These things should be redressed and should be thought about in order to reduce the amount of content that we teach in English. Another problem is the absence or limited importance given to continuous training for teachers and the reduced number of inspectors. So teachers do not receive enough training to cope with the changes and the syllabi and the approaches and methods that are implemented in the English language teaching. And this has also a negative impact on the teaching of English in Morocco. Another thing is that in secondary school there is a shortage of teachers, while in the middle school we have an abundance of teachers, and there are some teachers in middle school who work only for 4 hours or 6 hours or 8 hours a week, while in secondary school we have shortage of teachers, and we resort to middle school teachers to teach in secondary school to cope with this shortage.
What is your assessment of methods, pedagogies and approaches of teaching English in general terms?
In our curriculum, in our textbooks, there is a limited introduction of new methodologies and new approaches. What we have in schools is more reliance on traditional teaching methods and practices. For example, in the syllabus, there is a huge amount of grammar, structures, and functions. For example, in grammar. In the Moroccan syllabus, we have almost all the grammar that is in English inserted in secondary school. And I guess what is the use of grammar of our students? What are our students going to do with all that grammar? For example, we teach the present perfect continuous, we teach the past perfect continuous, we teach the future perfect. These are complicated tenses that are rarely used in English. And there is very limited time, because of the content, for other interesting methods and approaches like project work and portfolio and giving presentations and using the internet in learning and so on. The syllabus introduced the new pedagogies in a very limited way. In comparison to what's happening in the world today with this flood of information through ICT, information technology, and the social media and so on, it's difficult to teach English without using these resources. And a teacher who doesn't use social media, information technology, the internet, and as sources of learning, his teaching or her teaching will be limited, and students will not benefit a lot from the technology that is introduced through English. Also, we are more concerned with teaching than with learning. Are we sure that our learners learn? In assessment, we have a very traditional system of assessment. We always rely on written tests and quizzes, and based on that we assess our students. And there are other ways which are called formative assessment and alternative assessment.
Thank you so much. I think that's all what we have time for. Thank you so much, Professor.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
You're Vice President of the Moroccan Association of Teachers of English and you're Inspector of English in Morocco. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.